Hi folks, Russ here, and I'm back having more Daisy lever gun fun. Last time we were together, I talked about what goes on inside the gun. I said we were going to have a look inside. So let's just take our Red Riders, for instance, and we're going to talk about why they're safer today than they used to be. The most current production of these guns have certain safety features, and whenever you talk about a safety, everybody thinks about this little lever right here, the crossbolt safety. Whenever you push it there and you see the red on it, then you know you're able to pull the trigger. Whenever you have it over on this side, the trigger is stationary. That's not the only safety involved in the Red Ryder or any of these little lever guns. Inside the gun, it works like this. There's a plunger assembly with a very strong spring on it. Whenever the spring is stationary, it pushes against the plunger assembly. What it pushes with is the cocking lever. The cocking lever goes inside, and as you swing it back, it pushes the lever, and the lever pushes it. You set the lever back in place, you pull the trigger, and it fires. A lot depends on that trigger. The trigger has that crossbolt safety. See it right there. There's also other components on the trigger though. Like this little thing that looks like a saw upside down. They call this, affectionately, the anti-bear trap maneuver. And this little gadget here on the assembly is called the sear. Whenever you're cocking the gun, you hear those 7 little clicks. What you have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th one engages the bottom of this into the sear, and it makes it ready to fire. Whenever you pull the trigger, the sear releases, that strong spring lets it fly forward. Well, these are safety features, and the reason I say that is because they weren't always there. One of the problems about these is with your Red Ryder gun, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you cannot fire it until you pull the trigger, until you pull the safety over, and then it fires. This is one that's a little bit older. You know what it does not have? It does not have that anti-bear trap ratchet. Well, you might think, what's so dangerous about that? If you're cocking this gun, and I'm going to hold it back here to cock it, and you don't get it totally engaged, and it slips out of your hand, you can hurt your fingers really badly, and a lot of people did that. Once it's engaged, even if you have the safety off, it doesn't fire. Even if the lever's here, it doesn't fire. The lever has to be all the way up here before you can pull the trigger and have the gun fire. So this one's a little bit safer. Back in the day, they used a trigger that looked like this. There was no sear, no self-contained springs. Whenever the plunger was pulled back, it simply got caught in here. You pulled the trigger, it released the plunger. 2 things would go bad. Let's take a look at one of our old 111 Model 40 Red Ryders. These were great guns. They worked real well. Cock it all the way up, everything's fine. You pull the trigger, the gun fires. One problem with these, like this gun, if you're cocking it and it slips out of your fingers, if you had your hand on the wrist like this, it would crush your fingers. Another problem with these guns, and I'm going to step back a little bit so you can get a good view of it. Are we within range here? Watch what happens if you pull the trigger on it whenever this is down. So that's the bear trap effect. Now these guns are a lot safer in current production because of this self-contained trigger assembly. It has the anti-bear trap. It has a sear to catch that plunger on the back. The return spring for the trigger is self-contained on the back here. And there's another little spring here that holds the anti-bear trap. One other reason that you have to have the lever all the way up before it'll fire is because of this dog in the front. Whenever you're cocking it, you see the shape of the lever? As you're cocking it, it comes up and it actually blocks the function of the trigger until this is set down out of the way and the front of the lever is totally out of line with that plunger. So the plunger cannot push the lever back. The lever has to be clear of that dog before you're able to pull the trigger, thereby making it safe so the lever doesn't come back and smash your fingers. So that's why current production daisies and their lever guns are much safer than they used to be. Well, there it is, folks. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.